believe that mothers have, if we can empower mothers, we can change the world. I genuinely believe it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You feel that?
I definitely feel that. I feel that to the core, which is why I'm in the children's world, but I feel like there has to be like some kind of rubric created for women to understand their power and how to address like our behaviors in order for us to like be in control of things, not in a gentle way,
over people,
in a gentle way, like knowing that we can, if we have families and we are able to do all the things to keep everyone alive every day.
Legit, that's hard.
And usually it's based on our mood, because when we're in a good mood and we're rocking and rolling and we have joy, everyone's okay, right? But the minute that we are like a little off balance, then everybody's off balance.
I know, it's so true.
So if
we hold the like temperature of the house, and all of those households create society.
Yes. We send them out into the world.
And then they create households or not, but even just a pair. I mean, even just a pair, that is a unit of people that one after the other are creating the world we live in.
Yeah. And imagine if you have a child that is actually someone of influence and they can do a lot.
Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah, can you introduce yourself to the audience? And I'm sure there are lots of people who already know exactly who you are, who have tuned in from your blog and your Instagram. But if you could just introduce yourself.
My name is Natasha D'Anna. I am a mom of 3, a wife, a behavioral therapist, a multipreneur who's been busy working forever. It's like my passion to connect with people and do good in the world has always been my number one thing. So whether I'm working with my husband on projects that we have going on or doing my own solo thing, it's always exciting for me to, show up and do good and help if I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you work on with your husband?
Oh, real estate.
Cool.
Yeah. He actually also has an electrical company, so his background is in electrical. Should I go into that backstory? Because we met in high school. It's a good
story, yeah. You did? Tell me. We love a love story.
Yeah. Oh, love story, yeah. After how many years, it's like, it's a story. No, we love each other.
Sometimes it's nice to tell the story, and then you go back to your husband, and you're like, oh my God, you're that guy. You're that guy from that really, tell us.
And did the universe put us together, right? It's crazy because I went to like almost an all-boys school, and I was the only girl in the carpentry class. Yeah. And he was in electrical, and somehow this is what we do when we buy, flip, keep, invest in properties. It's like, I don't actually lift hammers anymore or any of that. I'll help with demo a little bit.
Wow.
But yeah.
Do you like do the decor and stuff?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, building department.
On top of being a behavioral therapist?
Oh, yeah.
What is a behavioral therapist?
So behavioral therapist, I work with children and families, and usually babies that are born with special needs. So,
how do you even know when a baby is born with special needs? You know, because it's a health issue?
Oh, there's such a back-end story.
Tell me all about it, yeah.
I mean, sometimes, like cerebral palsy, there are some, disabilities that can be pointed at birth, or there's some
even before.
Yeah, there are. And my job is just to come in and help with behavior plans and daily living and schedules and kind of keeping the family together. And because for most moms, whether it's their first child or their third, and if this is the one child that needs the special help, she's been on a different schedule the whole time, or the parents have been on a different schedule, whoever the caregiver is. So for them, things have to get a little different, and the whole family has to work together to make sure that they're all kind of in sync or living in harmony, and everyone's needs are met, especially the child. So that's how it goes. And it's usually from my youngest baby is 6 months, and the oldest is 3.5 to 4.
Why do you end at 3.5 or 4?
Because then it's school age.
And then they have more structure and more support outside of the home.
Well, then once they're in school, they have a different schedule, and then they have to acclimate to school. And I guess the parents are less handoff. It's just as we send our children off to school and they become different, wonderful people, everyone adapts differently. So we're done at that age. Yeah.
When you talk about behavior, you're anticipating that the child's sort of special needs mean that they're going to behave atypically.
Not bad behavior. Because
when I think of behavioral therapist, I think, okay, well, you're probably dealing with maybe a kid's aggression or all of this. I wouldn't have thought that you're working with children as young as 6 months old.
Yeah. So our behaviors begin from the inside to the outside of our bodies, how we adapt to things, our senses, right? They're everything. If we think of the things we smell, we touch, we hear, how our body is attracted to something. It's all part of our senses. So I think that's why we start as early as 6 months, and behaviors occur based on your environment. And it isn't necessarily bad or good behaviors. It can just be an adjustment, like brushing your teeth, taking a bath, changing your clothes.
It can be overstimulating.
It can be overstimulating, understimulating, or it can just be things as simple as potty training.
It could be really hard.
Yeah, dieting, and it's. I feel like it's an overall behavior plan for everyone.
That's right.
Yeah. It is. It is
because a child is a part of a system.
Yeah.
When they're in a family. Can you talk more about that?
The system of a family?
The system of a family, yeah. The interdependence.
Yeah. So it's funny because I feel as if we step in with a job to help with the child as a behavioral therapist, but we're helping the whole family as a dynamic. Because as a mom, I'm a mom, and there are times when my children are not having the best days, and it affects me, right? Vice versa. If I'm a little, moody, it's going to affect my children. So we are kind of interdependent on each other when it comes to functionality in the home and the decisions that we make every day. So
it's so interesting because I was like the bad kid. I'm the black sheep of the family. I was like a bad kid. I was a bully. I was bullied. When I hear a behavioral therapist, I think someone's being bad.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to really go back to what behavior actually is, and it's just a way of being in the world.
Yeah, and how you show up. Absolutely.
How you show up.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. And I can never imagine you as being bad, okay?
I can't imagine a child being bad either anymore.
Yeah. Yes.
But because that's not how I regard children. It's not how I regard people even. I know I once said that about some leaders in the world, like, oh, no one's bad or good, and people would, don't think that's true. But I don't think people are bad. I think
they just have troubles. There are troubles.
If you're making bad decisions, if you're making harmful decisions, something's not right, as you said, on the inside. Yeah. But but what I've learned about myself is that I'm a highly sensitive person.
Yeah.
That I once took a brain scan of my brain, and the lights are a lot for me. Sounds, I hear and I see better than most.
Yeah.
And and that can be a lot on the system. And I didn't know anyone like you to tell my parents or to tell me, like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And my son, would have this really hard time taking a bath, and he doesn't actually have a hard time anymore, but he's also highly sensitive.
Yeah.
So the bath water would feel like a lot, and I remember being so uncomfortable getting undressed and going into the bath, and then not wanting to leave the bath because that change on my body, because I'm so sensitive, would be a lot. Now, for a caregiver, that's also pretty stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're based on time, like our lives revolve around time and what's next, and it's just routine. And as an adult, you're used to this. It's like, no, this is what we do. And you're not taking a step back to put yourself in your child's foot, in their shoes.
Position, yeah.
Yeah, and in their position, just to see what could possibly be uncomfortable for them. Something as simple as that, of course, right? Like, we have to remember, we're all made up of, we're human beings, science, life. It all goes together, right? And I think a lot of this thought process, or even to put ourselves in that place, requires patience, right? So that's my one gift to any parent. Like, practice patience as much as you can.
Yeah. How do you practice patience, though?
Oh.
How do you practice it?
How do you practice it? I mean, if it isn't innate, then I guess read a lot.
Like educate yourself?
Yeah, educate yourself. Yeah. And not to educate yourself based on books, but just educate yourself based on life. Know the person that you want to be your most authentic self, right? And I think patience can come naturally for most people.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I'm not a patient person at all. Wait, when you work with parents who are frustrated with their children's behavior,
Yeah.
which I'm sure happens a lot, no? Right, like, children can be frustrating. They're not the ones making they're not the ones creating the discomfort in the adult's body. That's
Yeah.
on the adult.
Yeah.
But when you don't know what's going on with a child in your care, it can be extremely frustrating.
Yeah. And you know what the biggest part is? Communication. Mm-hmm. So if you have a child who's nonverbal and the frustration of the parent is usually no communication.
Right.
So it's great to have somebody else step in and be able to communicate what exactly can be going on. And then between adult conversation and questions that the parents may have, we usually come to a place where there's understanding, right? We all want to understand things.
Yeah,
right?
and we all want to understand our children. That's
Yeah,
for sure. We
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
bring these people into the world for friction or
Right.
misunderstandings.
The people that we love more than anything. It's like, you don't want to have a bad time with your child every day. You just want to love on them and do the right thing for them.
Yeah.
So I think as a communicator, I find myself being like that communicator between the child and the parent when that's happening.
That must be so hard, like when you have a child who is struggling, you like want to love them, and the just genuine fed upness of the situation. And that's when you usually come in, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, parents, from the beginning, we are open to each other. Like I love it when parents are honest and, which happens naturally because most parents, we just want someone to talk to most of the time, right? So you have another adult in the room. You're like, so this is what's going on and this is what I need help with. So that happens most of the time. And then being in the environment, in the home, which is the best place to be, you usually see things and you're comfortable. I'm usually comfortable with saying, well, if you need help with these things, just let me know. And that's when doors usually open and they're like, okay, so this is happening. Can we address this? And if they're ready to address it while I'm there, then we go for it and we work through it. I love when parents are hands-on because then it makes you feel as if you're doing good and they're more confident.
Yeah.
Right? And they're equipped to do the next thing or the next, tackle next thing that may come up that they have to tackle.
Were you a behavioral therapist before you were a parent?
Yeah.
How did that affect your parenting experience?
How? I was very hands-on. I am still very hands-on, and my children have to tell me, Mom, I can do it. Yeah.
Like involved? Like
Yes.
super involved?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
I'm very involved. Yeah.
Like, what does that look like?
I don't like projects, anything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, anything. I'm like, oh, can I help you? And they're like, no, I can do it. Like, or I want to know, when's your test? When's this coming up? Do you need help with it? And they're like, no, I'm going to study with my friends. And I'm like, okay.
When does that happen? Like, at what age are they like?
I think COVID let that happen sooner than,
Why?
because it was their independent stage where they were online with their teachers, and then they had to go off and do things on their own.
How old are they?
They're 11. The twins are 11. My son is 6. Yeah.
And is he as independent or no?
Yes, because he's the third child and he wants to do what his older sisters do. Yeah.
You know what's fun, Natasha, is your 11-year-old twins are one of the oldest kids. The kids are usually younger. That for the moms that come on our show usually have kids. They're usually, I would say 6 and under typically. So you've one of the, it's interesting because it gives a different perspective when the kids are a little bit older. So I know I'm obsessed with twins, as we all know.
She's obsessed with twins.
I'm obsessed
Love
with them. So, I mean, I just have to ask all the twin questions because I can't not. I feel like it's insane to not ask. When I have a twin mom captive.
It's also, I just want to give you background. Laura's,
husband
Laura
is-
has a bunch of twins in her family.
Yes,
so
love it.
She's
There's
just
twins
like,
around.
if that's going to happen, I need all the information.
Yeah, well,
Or it might not ever happen. So like, that's also.
wouldn't that be a get? I didn't want kids, and then
That happens.
usually
Oh my God, that's
happens.
exactly how it happens. Also, the later you have children in life, the more the fallopian tubes just like
They're waiting.
Just like they just pop out eggs. They're like, boom, 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 I'm gonna populate the earth. That's a real thing that happens. My brother had 2 children, moved to the suburbs, like got a car, blah blah blah, a house. They were like, why don't we have a third? Boom, twins.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
They have 4 boys. I mean,
Boys.
they're the most.
God bless.
I know. It was
Wow.
like they were in the weeds for a little bit, but they are the most glorious family.
Yeah.
And apparently it ran in her, it ran in Steph's family. But she was also older than she was the first 2 times. And boom, 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 those eggs, they just want to get hatched. They just drop in them.
Well, some of the questions I have typically are like, how do you manage? It's always the same question.
I love
How do
these
you
questions.
manage everything at the same exact time?
Well, she's managing so much, also different careers.
The entire
This is
career.
another.
No, I
This is
mean,
another level
I
of
was-
woman.
I was going to say, no big
Who's
deal
just like
when you gave the resume. but-
naturally patient. We're literally me and Laura were like,
No. But how do you, I mean, emotionally, energetically, financially, like all of these things, and I do have to acknowledge that we are, shooting in New York City, and in proper New York City fashion, there's someone outside of the window cleaning the windows.
Oh, okay, great.
But how do you, kids are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So 2 kids at once.
Oh,
it's
wow.
like a little-
Yeah. So my first response to that is that we're never ready for anything. And you can try to prepare as much. So when I got pregnant with my twins, when I found out that I was pregnant, I was fine up until 8 weeks. And then my doctor said, you're going to have to stay home. You're going on bed rest.
8 weeks?
8 weeks. 8 weeks. So 8 weeks to 33 weeks and 6 days, I was home. Yeah.
And this is a person with like an enormous amount of energy.
Yeah.
Why? What was wrong?
So I have fibroids still. Mm-hmm. They never take them out. I don't know why. Actually, I'm going to have a procedure done in December. Yay, finally.
Mazel tov.
Yes, finally. I had them growing at the same capacity as the twins. So they were like fighting for blood. And I would have like these moments of just gushing and running to the hospital.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so we had so many scares. And my doctor just said, you're going to get round the clock nursing. So I had to like nurse myself every day and put shots in my leg. And
Why shots?
just to slow down, if I remember correctly, what they were. Because I know some people, they take them for other reasons. There are certain shots that women take when they're on bed rest, and they're for different reasons. One is like to slow contractions. Some people do it in their stomach. I was doing it in my leg for a different reason. I'm sorry, it was 11 years ago. And sometimes
It was actually 12 years ago.
Almost 12. They were born December 31st at 10 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Yeah, party girls, right? Mm-hmm. So
And is it because they were twins that it was so hard on your system? Fibroids are what? Just so we can
they're
define
like
that.
cystic growths in sometimes they're in your uterus or around it, and they just suck the blood out of you and like make sometimes your menstrual cycles are heavier, which is something I've always battled with. Yeah. Iron levels very low and all that kind of womanly stuff that
All the
sometimes
fun
we go
stuff.
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a blessing and we made it through. And sometimes, people don't. Twin pregnancies, pregnancies of multiples can be very scary. So I'm so thankful for that. We made it through. Yeah.
And they were full term?
So what, 6 weeks early?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they were fine.
And
were
they
fine.
stayed in the NICU and everything?
9 days and 10 days. If you remember 2010, we had snowstorm after snowstorm.
Yeah.
So they were born during a snowstorm. Kennedy was 3 pounds, 12 ounces. Victoria was 4 pounds. And, after you give birth, they sometimes lose a couple ounces. They were ready to go home at their birth weights. So I took home a total of 7 pound, 12 ounce babies. And the doctor's like, you're going to be fine. Wow. Yeah.
I mean, if anyone is going to be fine, it was you.
I
mean,
guess so.
You had dealt with babies for a long time, but
They
you're
didn't
like
know
still,
that. They didn't know that.
They didn't know that, and also you're still like, how did I keep those people alive for 11 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
wow.
yeah, preparing for twin life. I mean, you prepare as much as it's something exciting, right? Becoming a parent, if you're really like into it, and for anything that we plan to do, if you're planning to do something and it's working according to your plan, it's meant to be, it's going to work out. So finances, planning, living, lifestyle, it all works. Just keep finding the joy in it and it works out. It's fine.
I think that you win as my favorite. I love that they were born on New Year's Eve and they're twins. That is the most extra thing. Amazing.
So her brand is Twindollicious.
These clothes are amazing. Can we talk about that? Can
we talk about your blog?
Yes, absolutely.
How'd that get started?
I've always loved writing. It's like my forever jam, which is probably the best part of writing up behavioral plans.
Oh,
I'm
really?
like, I get to write all this stuff. And yeah. But after being on bed rest for all that time, I just didn't know what to do. Was someone going to come in and help me? Did I want help? I wasn't sure. And then I decided, you know what? I think I need to just stay put. This is working. I'm going to stay put. If I bring someone in to help, it's like a Band-Aid, right? They come in, it's a novelty, and then they're not available anymore, and you have to start all over and figure it out.
I had that experience actually.
Yeah.
I didn't have a baby nurse for my second, and it was hard, but it was so great, and we bonded, and it was beautiful. And I had baby nurses for my first because that's what they say, if you can afford it, it's great and you can sleep. And for me, it was an actual nightmare.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah. It isn't for everyone.
It isn't for everyone at all. And I did find that then once they left, like I was relieved that they were gone, but I was also like, wait, what?
Right? Mm-hmm. What was that for?
Also like, how do I do this?
Yeah. It works for some, not for everyone.
Yeah, it totally works for some.
So I'm happy that I stuck to my gut, right? We have to listen to the voice inside of us. So I was happy that I did that and stayed home. And I went to blogging. I started writing up a blog, and what they say is true. If you want to do something, you have to practice doing it. So that's what I started doing. And then I noticed that there was a gap in the storytelling or children's book world and for twins. And after having so many people give their opinions, because people are so opinionated, how many strangers would come up to us and say, oh, why do you dress them up alike? And they should have their own personalities. Oh. And I say, well, they're infants. Can we connect them before we separate them? Right? So that was my goal in just starting, with the first book. Any two can be Twindollicious. It doesn't just have to be twins.
When you both, this is a question for both of you, when people do that to you, how do you deal with that with grace? Because you talk about set me off. I would go off on you. Why are you even asking me how I'm dressing my kids in any sort of way that is other than I love that outfit. Yeah. Where can I get it?
Yeah. It's amazing. So if you're a twin mom, you can definitely relate because people are even more opinionated when you have twins.
Why?
I don't know. It's like a curiosity. They see them, and the first question, are they twins? And that doesn't bother me. It's the opinionated, gestures that come after. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And my girls are fraternal. When they were infants, one was always bigger. Well, one's still taller than the other. And 25% of the time, twins have, if they're fraternal, one's lighter than the other. Either red hair, blonde hair,
Really?
dark hair, light hair.
I mean, they're just different. They're different people.
just different. But it's amazing when the 25% happens. And my husband and I are two different nationalities. So when I would go in, I'll tell you a true story. Went into the NICU, and both girls were there. And I show my bracelet, and they're like, "Oh, okay." So they bring me over to one, and she's like, "Are you the other one too?" And I said, "Yeah, they're together."
I did that.
they're together.
Because they looked so different?
They were so different. So different.
And still?
No, it varies. But yeah, you can kind of see the difference.
Wow.
Yeah.
But your focus is on their connection, their sibling love,
Yeah,
instead of it
absolutely.
being sibling rivalry.
Yeah, we have to, as a parent, we have to live with these people, right?
Yeah.
We don't want chaos in our homes. We want everyone to get along because the outside world can be cruel. So let's get along here, and we'll be
Yeah.
good outside.
So how do you foster that?
How do I foster that? So I started with the book.
Yeah?
And it's crazy enough, so I have to tell you this story. Creating this children's book, Any Two Can Be Twindollicious, the whole idea was just to let other children know that if you have a best friend or someone that you connect with, it is more of a connector, right? I guess I was just so annoyed with people saying how we shouldn't keep siblings together. No, everyone should be allowed to dress up alike. Like, we can be besties and show up to a party with the same dress on. We're probably going to kill it together.
Can
right?
we?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
yeah,
that'd
why
be
not?
fun.
That is so fun.
Fun is fun.
Yes.
Fun's important.
Why not?
Yeah.
So that was my whole, thought process. And with that came the clothing, which I wanted to connect a product with the book just to make everyone who did read the book actually feel as if they can be as Twindollicious with their best friend. So the tutu style dresses were inspired by the girls' styles. And yeah, we did about 6 pieces and bundle boxes that go with the books. It's so fun. And I love getting photos of the kiddos who are wearing the dresses and excited about receiving their books or with their friends. It's like so fun. It's a whole lifestyle.
It's a whole lifestyle. The
I feel like
Twindollicious
it's
lifestyle.
all about lifestyle. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Like really getting into loving each other, having fun, dressing alike.
Yes,
Yeah.
bonding. When you connect with people, it's like, I feel like get in where you fit in, right? We don't all have to look alike. We don't all have to, do the same thing every day. But who you connect with matters most, right?
Yeah. I'm so taken with how creative you are that it like just spills out of you.
I try to listen to what's inside.
Yeah? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Can you tell us
So
about your creative process?
If I feel an urge or I pay attention to the signs. I feel like I'm very in tune to what's around me. The smallest sound, the feeling that I have inside of me. Just recently, and might be off topic, but just a goal or something that I feel like has been sitting on me for a while and something that I need to do about it. So my grandmother, who I've never met, she passed away when my mother was 4 years old. Her story, we don't know her story. Yeah. So because I am such a storyteller and a person who loves to create, I have set it upon myself to figure out a way to tell a story that I believe is hers. And with that, the truth will come out.
How do you know anything about her story?
Well, Did
you do your research?
Yeah, just like where she possibly may have been from.
Where?
So her mom and dad, well, I know her dad's name, which is Bish. I know, Bish. What kind of name is that? So,
What kind of name is that?
And researching it, it goes back to Madagascar. So, but we don't have a close connection with any of her side of the family. My mom doesn't know much about her. The little that she remembers at 4 years old. And we never speak about her. No one ever speaks about her. But one cousin of mine, he told me a few things, and I think that there's a story that needs to be told about it. Yeah.
So you listen to the
She
prompts.
comes up all the time. In my head, all the time. She comes, I think of her all of the time.
I think about my great-grandmother all the time also. I had this real, I talk about here, my relationship to food and my relationship to Judaism and my relationship to being a mother. And I always go back to my grandmother's mother died of typhus in the ghetto. She starved for her children. That is where I come from. I come from, and then my grandmother was this, very independent businesswoman, survivor. We come from a long line of strong women who made decisions. My great-grandmother made that decision. That's what she wanted. She couldn't live if her babies didn't live. And both of them survived the war.
Amazing.
But I so relate to this experience where you're like, she comes up in my mind because I am the living embodiment of her.
Yeah.
Of her existence.
Yeah.
She died when your mother was 4 years old, but she existed.
Yes. And I think that sometimes we are set to do things like here you are speaking, Mom Curious, right? And just hearing the story of your great grandmother who was a mom who did the duty of, oh my gosh, mom, right? Like,
Mom.
Yeah.
Well, Daniela, also you've had the experience of, creating and directing Oma.
Right. Oh, well, I'm
Right.
Thank you. I'm assuming do you want to make this a movie? Is that what or
That
is it
would
a
be
book?
amazing.
What do you,
That would
what do you
be
envision?
amazing. It's funny that you say that because
You're not there yet.
No, I would love, there is there. Like, yeah. And I did watch that. Oh my gosh, I did. In tears. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I think what's so cool is that our family stories, they mean something. It's so cool to have a very particular Jewish experience, Madagascar experience, and for it to resonate with the world, a twin experience. Like the more, they say in acting school, the more specific you are, the more global the reach.
Wow.
Because the more we know about your grandmother and Bish, even if we know about them through your imagination, the more detailed that experience, the more I get to lay into that my humanity, what family means to me, what searching for my own creativity means to me.
Yes.
Go for it. And you're going to. That's what's so
I
cool.
believe so. I think once we put it out into the universe, the doors begin to open and the path sets its way.
And you don't ever get sort of hung up on but I'm a therapist. I'm a real estate mogul. I'm a writer. I'm a blogger. Oh,
no.
God, you...
No.
So good.
Oh my gosh, no. Then we would never do anything, right?
Well, I mean, I've been in that. I've been in that stuck place where I wouldn't do anything because I'm I'm an actress. But you seem to never have.
No.
Tell me more. Go.
I just feel like what's that? Wasted talent. So it doesn't matter what your talent is. If you're given a gift, you have to share it, right? Even if it's a message, right? Share the message. You never know who's listening. How many times have you turned on the radio and someone's saying something you needed? It can be the commentator or a commercial comes on, a song, right? And you're like, oh, I needed that, right?
Yeah.
So if you have something to give, it's not for us to keep, it's to give, even if it's a message. So don't put yourself in a box. Please don't put yourself in a box, right? And I love that you said that about niching down because I feel like that confuses a lot of people, the whole niche thing. Yeah. But niching in a way the way you described it, knowing that it's going to be global, also allows you to stay as creative as possible because you are the unit and your creativity is what needs to be out into the world. So stay yourself. That's it. So many people that I know in business or in media, they feel as if they're one thing, is what they are creating right? So I created Twindollicious & Co. to start. But overall, from the blog, it became a full lifestyle, right? How I show up as a mom, how my twins show up as people in the world, how they have developed based on this story. So crazy enough.
Isn't that crazy?
Crazy
Art
enough.
is like imitating life and life is imitating art, and it's like in this conversation.
Yes, it's all communication. Is what we put out into the world. Sometimes we don't realize the power that we have in our words and what we believe. Sometimes it works out and it comes true if we want it to, right? So I go back to the first book, Twindollicious & Co. Any two can be Twindollicious. And in the story, there's a little girl who's asking, why do you dress up alike and why do you do things together? And her name is Abigail. So adorable little girl, red hair, freckles. I made her spunky. I loved Punky Brewster when I was a kid. I don't know. This is just the vision I had, right? So second grade, one of my girls has an encounter in lunch. She has a peanut allergy with the little girl. And guess what her name was?
Abigail.
Yeah. And guess what I did?
What?
I sent the book to school. I love this little girl. She does not look like the character at all, but I'm like, that did not happen to you. And my daughter's like, what, Mom? I'm like, no, that did not happen to you.
I love it.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
I love that so much. And also, like, you've managed to build a community around this book, this lifestyle. I see you at events with your kids all the time.
Yeah.
It really does, it opened up a whole new way of engaging with the world.
Yeah. Being a mom, showing up as a mom, showing how we can be happy as moms, possibly work with our children if we want to.
Yeah.
Expose them to the world, right? Responsibility when we're exposing them to things where they show up as themselves and how people receive them and how they receive other people, right? Being social. It's important to be social.
It's important to be social.
It is. We live in New York City. You have to be social.
Get with it. You're just get with it. Yeah, I love seeing you and all three of your kids. Your son doesn't get as much airtime.
Oh, Bash. He's on his own schedule.
Bash and Bish.
I know. How crazy is that? It's Sebastian, but yeah, for some reason Bash stuck out. Some people shorten Sebastian Sebi or Sebas.
But he's Bash.
Bash, yeah.
And his great-great-grandfather was Bish.
Bish, can you imagine? I didn't even...
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't connect that. I didn't connect
Well, here I am.
No, there you are.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
Where can we find you? Where can we find the book? Where can we find these adorable tutus that Paz is going to love? Thank you.
I'm so excited she's going to love them.
How do we engage with your multidisciplinary creativity?
So
your joy?
I am on the internet, in the internet world, yes. Twindollicious, at Twindollicious is the handle. It's a 3D word because as writers, we like juicy, creative, made-up words. So it's TWINDOLLICIOUS, Twindollicious.com. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, newly.
Oh, how's that going?
It's going.
Okay.
Once you figure all these things out and how they work for you, it's less stressful. It's just fun. And you show up. Yeah.
I love your outlook.
Yeah.
You're willing to try and you're willing to bail if it's not fun, right?
Yeah. Never stick with the stress. I don't sign up for stress, sorry.
It's not part of the plan.
No, sorry.
Okay, cool. And any parting words? I would love to know any parting words, maybe from your creative heart.
I think it's just being your, most altruistic self.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Giving.
Yeah,
Giving,
exactly. It isn't ours to keep. We aren't here forever. Give as much as you can. Make your mark on the world if you can, especially if you're a mom.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why especially if you're a mom?
Because you're giving yourself to these babies who are going out into the world to give more, and why not give good, right? It's nothing, it doesn't fill my heart. The most fulfilling thing ever is for me to have bags in my hand and to have a 13-year-old boy hold the door for me. It's like, ooh, I want to meet your mom. right?
Yeah.
Or your dad, whoever raised you. Like, and I do not hold it back to tell them, God bless you. Like, you are the cutest thing ever. Yeah.
Sometimes when I look at Laura, I'm like, I can't wait to meet her mom. You know, she did such a good job.
God, she is a fun one for sure.